Welcome heretics to another 40k video. There are many theories about the dark pattern. Some say it's a fashionable style of quilt that carries the taint of chaos and corruption. Others that it links to the old ones and their genetic creations, or to the Necrons and their reawakening across the galaxy, or further still, the Eldar and their space-wide fast travel system, the webway. So what is the dark pattern? We're going to go over the theories and what we know today. The earliest Imperials arriving in the Jericho sector thousands of years ago quickly made many discoveries about this region of space. The abundance of dead worlds puzzled many of the earliest Mechanicus explorator fleets, as they seemed out of place in relation to the rest of the habitable worlds within the sector. These reports caught the attention of the Inquisition, and a team was dispatched to investigate in depth. Inquisitor Joel Sinclair of the Ordo Xenos led his team to many of the worlds on the fringes of the sector to investigate the secrets and history there. Like an unemployed man filling his time, Inquisitors treat the galaxy and the resources of the Imperium like their own private hobby garden, following whatever fancy attracts their eye each day. Sinclair felt that these so-called dead worlds were not simply blasted rocks hanging in space. Something once touched these places, and their presence could still be felt faintly throughout the area. He initially had no idea who or what these ancient beings were, but every fibre of his being told him that these worlds held a significance that was entwined with the fate of mankind. However, he could find no direct proof that would satisfy his superiors within the Inquisition. Sinclair's expedition lasted for nearly a decade, and the crisscrossed nature of it covered much of the sector, investigating the worlds catalogued by the explorator ships. When his vessel exited the warp near the world known only as Nunk, his worst fears were confirmed. An anomalous energy signature detected from the planet below urged Sinclair to set down and locate its source. Like so many prior worlds, much of Nunk was a barren, lifeless wasteland covered by windswept desert and craggy mountains. What set this world apart lay deep in the southern hemisphere, an imposing edifice jutting from the wastes into the night sky. Deep scans revealed tectonic activity across the planet, and the core of Nunk was undergoing a slow geothermal change unlike anything Sinclair had witnessed. Recent quakes had toppled a number of massive rock walls, exposing this long-forgotten structure to the galaxy once more. And after investigating a little more, Sinclair and the crew of his ship wake up quite far away from where they were on the hand of vengeance, and they don't know how they got there. So some force has pushed them away. Over time, a number of people were brought together to investigate the goings-on here. This handful of inquisitive Deathwatch Space Marines came back to the now deserted stations after others had given up hope of finding anything. Now known as the Dead Stations, and the ancient traces of knowledge and prophecy they contained. These few members have since dedicated their lives to finally unravelling the enigma of the Jericho Reach. Thanks to their interest in the Dead Stations, their peers referred to them as the Dead Cabal. They came to this name only after a long debate. They felt the name Cabal was an original name, very marketable and not used by anyone else in 40k, and the 43rd most important cabal was also not available. So let's look a little deeper at what the dark pattern is. To most involved with the Death Watch, it is a collection of worlds across the Jericho Reach, identified by various Inquisitors and Death Watch battle brothers, to have remnants of ancient Xenos traces on them in some form. We'll go over the most interesting theories now. The first is dubbed the Lair of the Ancients. The theory concerning the dark pattern, to gain the most attention, claims that the worlds on the path are part of an ancient Necron empire, even though the planets involved have been heavily scanned and explored and nothing found. Many believe the advanced sciences of the Soulless Empire hide their presence. Obviously, these cannot be huge repositories of Necron warriors on all these planets, no matter how well they are hidden. So the worlds must serve another purpose to the Soulless ones. So just think back in Necron history for a moment. Of course, before biotransference, they're queued up in their ailing bodies, following the cue this way signs and which way to walk arrows on the floor. They were then transferred into their metallic bodies. They eventually captured and imprisoned their gods. And now they are reawakening. And that's where this theory comes in. Knight Captain Alric of the Dead Cabal insists that the worlds are part of a massive energy matrix that will be activated to fuel the Necrons' awakening. Now, the way I'm thinking, maybe it's to reawaken a lot of them quickly, whereas at the moment just a few small ones are being woken up. A second theory, dubbed the Dark Gateway, says that the worlds of the Dark Pattern are a doorway to another time and place. The prognosticator Renin Triel believes that his research proves that these worlds are an ancient precursor of the mysterious Eldar webway. And the webway, of course, is the Swiss cheese that lets the Eldar traverse the galaxy. Perhaps the Eldar used these worlds to test the earliest form of the webway before perfecting it, a testing ground for the ideas that would come to fruition. Though, of course, out of world, we know that the Eldar didn't make the webway, that it was of course the old ones. Renin Triel believes he has found traces of the long-dead devices on these worlds that he believes can access the webway to this day. If this theory should prove correct, it would provide the Imperium an advantage in its war against the Eldar, and like anything it has known before. And the last theory comes back to those ancient beings, the old ones. Dubbed the first ones in this theory, it is put forth by a dead cabal tech marine, Zeriel of the Iron Hands, who claims that the worlds of the Dark Pattern could be massive genetic laboratories that were created by a long-lost race that ruled over much of the galaxy's length and breadth so long ago. According to this possibility, these worlds were linked together as a series of outposts and research stations, which developed races and species for these ancient ones to use in their war of conquest across the galaxy. This, of course, will be referring to the war in heaven, the war between the Old Ones and the Satan, with the Satan getting the Necrons to help them, and with the first ones creating various races, the Krogs that devolved into the Orcs, the Eldar, and some other ones. So this could be where those ideas were tested, like the Emperor testing his gene knowledge with the Space Marines. I find that a very intriguing idea. I would love for someone to actually come across this in one of the novels. And of course, when the Empire failed, when the War of Heaven was lost by the Old Ones, these worlds were scoured of all traces of technology and life to safeguard their last remaining strongholds. Others amongst the Dead Cabal put very little stock in this theory and claim that traces of other ancient civilizations elsewhere provide proof that these beings were not active in this part of the galaxy. Still, Zil supports this possibility and searches for any ties to the lost race lost in their exploration of the Reach. And on that third theory, I think the most intriguing for me personally, I also like the one where the Necrons are mass reawakened by some sort of device. We know they have Blackstone pylons, we know that they have the Pharos devices that let them transport across the galaxy, so why not something like this as well? Anyway, I'll wrap up for today, heretics. Let me know what you think of these three theories. Do you have your own theories about where the old ones might have gone? I'm trying to think of something in that regard, but I keep coming up short. I want something that has some sort of proof for it in world. So we'll see, but let me know what you think.